Alrighty, for my project, I chose the Joseph Thompson and Body Mass Index Assessment Project in Arkansas. And this was based upon the last name S, and so my last name is Stapleton, so this is the project. And so basically, for background information, this whole thing with Joseph Thomas was that there was an implemented act called Act 1220, which was implemented in 2003. And this was essentially to have the parents be able to view their child's BMI, body mass index score. And so basically this was an annual report, so it's not something that happened all the time. And it allowed parents or families or communities to be able to confidentially view their child's BMI score, and that would tell them if they were on the verge of obesity or how they were health-wise. And so this is really important because this made more families aware of their child and their activity and efforts to reduce obesity. And so the strengths of this were that they would be able to promote fitness from a younger age to all the children in school. And this would be done confidentiality, so this meant that the children wasn't necessarily made aware, and so this wouldn't be damaging to the student or any child as a whole. The weakness was that there wasn't much change seen after this act was implemented, and also that since the act and the whole body mass index thing was something that was school-based, when they weren't at school, it wasn't always guaranteed that they would follow the same regimen and same habits that they're practicing at school outside of school. So this also coincides with the threats, because this may not make a difference if the children are behaving and acting differently outside of school than they are in school. Essentially, the core issues would be that since children attend school 5 days a week, a lot of time at school, that the best place to and the easiest way to manage this childhood obesity and awareness would be to take place during school, because this is something that can be monitored and implemented through the school's funding and teachers and the involvement, since they're spending so much time at school. And so one way they did this was getting rid of the vending machines in elementary schools to promote healthier eating habits, and starting from a younger age to ensure that children and families are made aware of health. And so alternatives would be that promoting more fitness in school, especially younger in childhood, would allow more physical activities for students to be more active and learn to have a healthier lifestyle. And so another alternative would be to substitute sugary foods. So this was implemented, and so foods like fat-free milk instead of whole milk made a difference in more health conscious ways, because children were given healthier foods and less sugar. And so this promoted healthier eating habits and adapted them to eating differently. And so the recommendations would be that children are supposed to have anywhere between 30 to an hour of exercise. So implementing this in school allows children to fulfill that requirement and maintain their health. And another recommendation would be to allow sports at younger ages. So this is seen in middle school and high school, not necessarily in elementary school. So allowing this option will allow children to be more involved within the school without having to just focus on physical fitness. So these sport options can happen at school as well, and so this is another school-based intervention that will allow more activity. So the action plan would be to implement a new policy, which would take about 6 months to get everything planned, organized, and sent through. And so then this plan to discuss how much funding would have to be given and how much assistance or what it would take to actually pull this together. And so I suggest about 3 months for this. And then actually being able to develop these additions into the school system would take about a year, because there would be pushbacks between children not wanting to do this or parents not wanting to do it. And so assistance and getting everything together would take a little over a year. And so this was already seen with pushbacks, because this act in 2006, there were a lot of people saying that they wanted to be given the opportunity to opt out. So some parents and families did not want to know exactly like what the BMI is, or they did not want to know annually about their child's BMI score. So this problem also can be seen in a push to not have this plan implemented. And so that's why I would say over a year, because I imagine drawbacks from parents not wanting this to be in place, or parents feeling like they shouldn't have to be required to exercise and all of that. In my opinion, I do think that it is important to promote health and well-being in children. However, if a parent lets the child know about the body mass index or informs them of trying to be healthier, it could actually damage the child if they're made aware that they need to change in order to be considered quote unquote healthy. And so this could lead to body dysmorphia or eating disorders from a younger age, which could carry on into when they're adults as well. So this would be a drawback because children should not have to worry about their weight necessarily in a way that negatively affects them or has them comparing themselves to others, or if they're constantly reminded, then they may feel a little bit differently about themselves. So I would say to implement this slowly but surely so that it's not overbearing for all the students or the families as well. And that is my presentation.